Welcome back to Rise Today. It is a pleasure having you here with us. I'm Amanda Moniki, and as I said before, it is all about business today. And we are going to touch on entrepreneurship specifically with our very own Dr. Kilika, who is very versed in issues regarding business. He is from here, Kenyatta University. Dr. Kilika, it is awesome to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Now, I want us to dive right into the nitty-gritty of the issues of today, entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So before we begin, I want you to tell us who exactly you are and what you do.
My name is Dr. James Kilika. As you captured in your introduction, I am a lecturer in business management in the School of Business, Department of Business Administration of Kenyatta University. I teach business, I teach management, I teach entrepreneurship, and other supporting courses in the areas of business.
Great. Now tell me, how exactly did you enter into the business sector? Do you practice it yourself?
Yes, I practice business because that is what I teach. How I entered into this field goes back to high school days. When we were in Form 1, our teachers categorized that into different subject clusters. I happened to be clustered in the category that was going to do business in terms of units in economics, principles of accounts, and commerce, right from Form 1. And that was I pursued from Form 1 up to university level.
So business actually chose you?
Business chose me.
And then you chose it later on as well?
Yes.
That is great.
Yes.
Now, for those who do not know, let us not be ignorant to the fact that some people may have no information at all regarding entrepreneurship. So break it down for us in brief. Tell us, what exactly is entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship, we can look at it from the viewpoint of economics, and then from economics we can come to where we are so that we can fit it within the topic of our discussion today. When we go back to economics, entrepreneurship is categorized as one of the factors of production alongside capital, labor, and land. Within that, it is a key driver to business performance. When we, when we come to our time, the perspective to entrepreneurship has been considered as one connected with establishment of new business ventures, which is an undertaking by individuals who choose not to be employees, but rather establish new business ventures to undertake the risks associated with that venture, and they also assume the accruing benefits for starting up a new venture. And therefore, entrepreneurship is looked at as a process that engages in identifying gaps in the market that have not yet been responded to, and then the person behind the entrepreneurship looks at that opportunity and puts into place mechanisms that respond to the identified market gap and creates a new venture that delivers goods and services that meet the identified gaps in the market. And that's the current perspective of entrepreneurship, whereby an individual chooses not to be an employee, but chooses to be an initiator of a new venture that brings into the world a new way of delivering goods and services and creates a venture to support that.
Okay, that is great. I can see that you are very, very vast in business issues.
Thank you.
I hope I would have been able to pass your class if you were my lecturer.
If you come, definitely we will inspire so that we can get an entrepreneur, we can get a manager, and we can get an expert.
Excellent.
Yes.
Now, maybe in layman's language, you can say that basically, the very basic of it, let's say we are talking to a very small child or a high school student. Entrepreneurship is essentially being your own boss, self-employment.
Yes.
Trying to solve, I heard that entrepreneurs are people who look for a problem and solve it. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, in comparison to the normal 9-to-5 jobs, being an employee, what would you say are the pros and cons, or rather the comparison of being employed versus being your own boss?
Thank you. It's a good question, which is relevant and educative to those who might be considering as to whether to venture into their own businesses or they should continue in employment. First, if we start with focus on the 9 to 5, that's the category of an employee. We can look at the advantages that are associated with that. First, you have a guarantee of income. And with that guarantee, life looks certain. And therefore, you can plan easily and you are exposed to less risks when it comes to fluctuations of income and planning for your future. When we look at the case of the person who engages in entrepreneurship, we might look at the challenges or the disadvantages that they may face. First, there are risks. They will face an uncertain future because they are starting a new venture for the first time. And therefore, they might face those aspects of uncertainty and a future that does not look so clear. At the same time, they might not also attract a lot of support, a lot of friendship in society. When you look at the good side of entrepreneurship, first, when you start your own venture, you have an opportunity to pursue personal interests that you might not be able to pursue when you are in full-time employment. And therefore, when you pursue your own interests, that can open a path that removes all the limitations for anyone becoming a person who can achieve their dreams, such that in entrepreneurship we can see somebody starting a path that can lead to their own self-actualization. And therefore, in entrepreneurship, somebody can become far much better than what they might be able to become in a situation of employment. Yes.
Okay, and does one need any particular qualifications, like academic ones, that is, to be an entrepreneur?
That's a good question, and we need to consider it in view of what experiences we have gone through. We have seen enterprises come and we have seen entrepreneurs. Some have documented their histories and the path that they have followed to become where they are. And there are stereotypes in society, some of them indicating that for you to be a successful entrepreneur, you might not require to be good in class. Whereas some of the successful entrepreneurs might not have done excellent in class. That needs not be construed to mean that in entrepreneurship you might not need education. And so in short, we can say that for you to start a venture, education is a requirement because you need technical aspects of starting a venture. The entrepreneur might not be so much well educated, but as they roll out the aspects of the new venture, they will need the input of others who are educated. And therefore, you might need the benefit of education on technical matters, like if you're doing business that requires engineering technology. And when the new venture has rolled out, you need the input of people who are experts in business, like record keeping, interacting with customers, and distribution, and other aspects that will be able to ensure that the venture succeeds in all facets of the business support. So education is key. It might not be the only requirement, but you need certain levels of education to be able to succeed in a venture. Yes.
Well said, Dr. Well said.
Thank you.
Now, when people are trying to start up their businesses, usually they are informed and have to go about doing research and getting recommendations from people as to how to go about it. Now, I want you to advise us and tell us maybe just the very basic of terms, how to go about starting up a business step by step. Because I know there are issues such as maybe having the business idea to begin with, the business plans, registration, all that. Guide us through it.
Thank you, Amanda, for the question. I would structure the process into just three main or broad steps. The first that I consider the most important is what you have cited regarding the idea. a new business succeeds to the extent that there is an existence of an idea that is well conceptualized and well figured out in the mind of the entrepreneur. So the first thing, or the first step, is for the entrepreneur to ensure that they have a clear understanding of the business idea that they want to bring out into the world, so that they can be able to tell what it is that exists in terms of needs, wants in the market, and what it is that is required in the form of a product or a service, and what is required to be able to package that. When that idea is clear in the mind of the entrepreneur, the next thing is to craft the plan, what I might call the business plan, so that in that business plan, you put down in a well-expressed form what the business will do, the procedures that will be done in terms of like operations, where inputs for production will be obtained from, what procedures will be followed to package and make the product, and how that product will be channeled to the market. That will be the second part, doing the plan for the business. Then, once you have done the plan, the third and the last step is about executing or implementing that idea. You have put the plan and you have put the resources together. You have your idea and you have an understanding of what you want to do. It is now rolling out, so that if you stated you will be operating from somewhere, you open a shop or you open a production area, then you bring about workers or whoever else needs to be brought on board to support. Then you carry out the production itself, you package the product, and then you take it to consumers so that you can be able to respond to the gap. So 3 steps: idea, the plan, and the implementation of that plan. Yes.
Idea, plan, and implementation.
Yes.
Follow through.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for that. Now, the biggest issue that many youth face, especially in trying to start up a business, is one thing: capital.
Yes.
How would you advise the youth to go about attaining the same?
Thank you. And even when we are teaching, we concur with your observations that capital is a major challenge, and especially when you look at the context in which you operate in, where systems have not yet been fully developed, and our societal structures still look to have stereotypes about white collar vis-a-vis entrepreneurship. When it comes to starting up a venture and you're interested in raising capital for a new venture, I would identify several sources. First, which I consider to be the most important, the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur is the one around whom everything revolves. The entrepreneur with the idea, because the entrepreneur will direct everything. So the entrepreneur to provide him or herself is the first unit of the capital that is required. Then secondly, the entrepreneur has their own resources, like they could be having their own equipment, they could be having their own personal savings, they could be having some kind of material that they can give into the business as the first seed to initiate a business. Then second to third, networks that come from friends, networks that come from family members, so that through the contributions of friends, the contributions of relatives, one might be able to generate seed capital to be able to start a venture. Then, when one has exhausted two sources and they are not able to get enough, then they can go to other sources. The external sources, you can begin with the customers. Does the entrepreneur have a clear set of identified customers? The customers might be persuaded to buy or pay in advance, so that instead of having to borrow from other lenders, if the customers can place their orders in advance, you've already gotten something to start the business.
True.
Then outside and beyond that, you can talk to financial institutions. Banks nowadays have a segment of the business for micro enterprises, for small scale enterprises, and so are microfinance institutions that have friendly packages that young entrepreneurs and young people can be able to take advantage of. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that in-depth and very comprehensive explanation. I'm sure that many people have learned quite a lot from what you have had for us today.
Yes.
Now, to finalize this interview, this very extensive interview, I've really learned a lot. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I want you to give a word of advice to young people, especially the youth all over Nairobi, Kenya, who are trying to start up their own businesses. What words of advice do you have for them?
Thank you for the opportunity to be able to advise. First, I would want to encourage them to focus on starting new ventures. Entrepreneurship is healthy for personal development, it is healthy for community development, it is healthy for national development. And therefore, the moment they find that they have an idea that can be commercialized to become the basis of a venture, let them not wait. Let them jump into the scene and they start. By starting a new venture, my encouragement to young people, to young entrepreneurs, they are starting a journey that buys their way into economic freedom. And therefore, they need to focus on starting a journey that makes them employers instead of focusing on being employees. And therefore, I want them to take advantage of the prevailing situations. Opportunities are there, and there are macro and other political and legislative policies that have been put in place by the government, and the young people can take advantage, become entrepreneurs, and they become employers and become champions of development for this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kilika. Now, you have heard it for yourself from the business guru from Kenyatta University. He is very well versed in all matters business, and he has addressed you, guided you, and given you advice on all you need to know regarding entrepreneurship. And on that topic, we actually have something for you regarding business ventures. But before we get into it, let's have a short music break. Enjoy.